Buenos días, bon dia, good morning. Following the usual research seminars, we received today to Alexandra França. She's going to present the PhD next week. You are cordially invited as well. And of course, for the PhD students, this is a relevant occasion to learn how others do, and we expect to receive your feedback so she can improve whatever she needs. So welcome.
Thank you. So thank you for your presence. So bear with me, I'm a little bit nervous, like I should. This is part of the process. So my name is Alexandra, like Miguel introduced me. I'm a PhD student. Please. Oh my God, so many people. Okay. And so this is, like Miguel already mentioned, this is my presentation of my PhD thesis. It is focused on strategic management and on adapting strategies. So the presentation has the following order: motivation, objectives, research design, essay 1, essay 2, essay 3, and then after conclusions, okay, overall conclusions. So why this thesis? Today, the business environment is completely dysfunctional. Many things are changing. Business must adapt to the fast changing environment provoked by technology and the blur of borders that provoked. But this environment also has plenty of challenges and opportunities. Okay, so this dissertation has 3 separate studies. Okay, within a common thread, within a common keyword. It is adaptability. Okay. To adaptability of business to response to changing environment conditions. First, the first study is regarding conceptual paper, okay, and it is focused on resources and capabilities and value co-creation, okay. The second paper has to do with climate change and the pressing regulation that businesses are enduring for decarbonizing their businesses. Again, adaptability. And the last investigates the strategic management of stakeholders. Okay, how we can design a strategy to benefit those stakeholders and to adjust this strategy to the changing environment. Okay, and in the environment we mean institutional, 2 very different institutional contexts. So research questions. The first has to do how value is perceived, okay, and how we can, the mechanism we can convert resources and capabilities into value, okay, and the third question is how companies structure the use of resources and capabilities to facilitate value co-creation. The second one. The research question of the second study has to do with competitive strategies, Porter's competitive strategies, and the relationship between these strategies and financial performance, and if this relationship accommodates decarbonization. Okay, and the third, the research question of the third study has to do with, does intentionally allocate resources to these strategies, stakeholder strategies, always generate better returns? Okay, does these strategies, or these strategies are contingent to the institution context? Okay. So, our focus in essay 1, like I said, explores the process. So, it is a conceptual paper. It explores the process through which firms transform their resources into benefits, showcase how resources and dynamic capabilities leverage their value co-creation. Then I will explain to you what is value co-creation when we will talk about this essay. So regarding the impact of decarbonization, this study extends the following: a given company are more likely to experience variations in performance, okay, when it accommodates decarbonization, and the essay 3 examines the performance outcomes of stakeholder strategies in two very different institutional contexts. More in detail, the structure of essay 1, like I said, is a conceptual paper. It is a literature review, an ad hoc literature review. It studies value co-creation, resources, intangible resources, and dynamic capabilities. And it is, the source of the information is Web of Science, of course. Within the theoretical lenses of this essay, it is the service logic of Vargo and Lush. The resource-based view of Barney Wernfeld is quite known, this theory. And the dynamic capability is within the Thies, David Thies, and others researchers, okay? Then the second and the third are quantitative studies. One, like I said, competitive strategies, like I said, Porter's generic strategies. And the third, and also quantitative, it is regarding stakeholder strategies and within the lens of stakeholder theory and varieties of capitalism. Okay? More in detail regarding the quantitative analysis. So of SE1, we gather a panel data from Refinitiv, former Thomson Reuters database. The dependent variable, of course, is financial performance. And independent variables are competitive strategies, both differentiation and cost leadership. Okay? And the moderating variable is the decarbonization. SE3, it is a subsample analysis. On one part, we have liberal economies, and the other part, we have coordinated economies. I will go more in detail what are those, what are the different of those economies. It is a subsample analysis that studies the outcome of financial performance and the outcome of strategies oriented towards non-financial stakeholders and strategies oriented to financial stakeholders, shareholders, okay? Sorry. So, let's just begin with essay 1. So, this essay, like I already said, is dedicated to value co-creation and the impact of resources and dynamic capabilities within the value co-creation process. Why it is important? Globalization has disrupted the traditional balance between providers and customers. Digital communications blurred boundaries, customers are more knowledgeable, are empowered, and the expectations of customers are higher than they used to be. Providers must continually assess their value propositions, okay? So that can create value for customers. And so it is in this environment that companies must provide and must adapt their value propositions to customer expectations, okay? And how they can do it. This is what we are going to be discussing in this essay. Like we already discussed, these are the 3 research questions of this essay. So on the literature, we gather value creation, resources, capabilities, competences, service logic in their titles and abstracts. The search was restricted to business and management journals, okay, until 2015. The sample are academic articles, no conferences, no conference papers, okay, only academic articles regarding dynamic capability views, resource-based view, and service logic. The database was Web of Science, and we focus on seminar articles in journals with big impact, okay? So, results. To answer our first research question, how value is defined and perceived from both supplier and customer perspective. Bear in mind that we are talking about markets whose market power is not high, okay? There is some elasticity in negotiation, okay? We are not talking about creating value with customers in a market with in a monopoly market, okay, or oligopoly market, okay? We need to adjust our value propositions. We need to adjust our value propositions in markets where the competition and the price is more elastic, okay? So, how value is perceived from the suppliers? Value emerges in every interaction, okay? This is the perspective, this perspective is from the value in use, okay? It doesn't mean what? It means that value is going to emerge when customers use the service or the product, okay? Only then what business do, they propose value, okay? And in fact, it is only when customers exchange money for a product or a service, when they need something, is when value emerges. Otherwise, it's only value proposition, okay? In a firm, the product stays in stock, even if it is manufactured. If it's not bought, it stays in stock. So value there is only a proposition, okay? So for supplier, we have here a perspective of value proposition, and from the customer perspective, they are the ultimate arbiters of value. They dictate what value is, okay? So, regarding the mechanism that enable resources and capabilities to be converted into value, resources, we are talking about more resources, intangible resources, like knowledge, okay? This is more the focus. And the mechanism we can transform resources into value has to do with resource creation, the knowledge that we are going to create, resource integration, how we are going to integrate the resources with both providers and customers. And then resistance removal. We're going to remove any kind of resistance that is going to impair the process. Okay? And then we come to our final question. How do companies structure and use their resources and capabilities to facilitate value creation? Within this question, we made 3 propositions for future research. So, of course, the first objective of companies it is identify and create value to customers, okay? And creating value involves the capacity to understand needs and react to customer desires, okay? It's just to personalize services and products, okay? And this, if the company do this better than the competition, it achieves competitive advantage, okay? Regarding the value of resources and capabilities, the value is determined by demand, okay? Like we already discussed, companies only do value propositions. So it would be advantage when companies just adjust resources and capabilities to consumption processes, to customers, to be customer solutions, and to propose adjusted value propositions, okay? So, conclusions of this essay. For theory, we are invigorating the resource and capability theory by pairing with the service logic, okay? Because it is, both theories reached maturity, and they need to advance and adjust to the environment of nowadays. For practitioners, of course, they need to adjust their value propositions, and this is the pathway how they should convert their resources and capabilities into value co-creation, okay? And what is value co-creation? Is when customers and providers get together and create value. One typical example of this is a company that I really enjoy, is Lego. Remember Lego, the brick? Yeah? And it has the comeback, a spectacular comeback from almost bankruptcy. And what they did is to create channels for creating value with customers, okay? They created digital channels, and you can design your own brick set, and this is value co-creation, okay? They created channels, digital channels, and they adjusted their resources and capabilities to create value with the customer. And this was amazing, because they increased their target customers. They increased from small children to 8 to 80 years old, because fans love the bricks, and they can also build and personalize their set. So this is a very good example how this process can be achieved. Okay, it's like Lego did. So, essay 2. Essay 2 has to do with the impact of decarbonization on business strategy performance nexus. Should companies embrace this momentum? Should companies embrace, or could decarbonization be a competitive, a source of competitive advantage? Let's just figure it out. So, when Porter, this is the theoretical framework, when Porter designed those generic competitive strategies, was within the time that the environment, the business environment, was more or less stable. Okay? And companies were able to achieve sustainable competitive advantage. But nowadays, the fast changing environment, business environment, sustainability or business sustainability is no longer achievable. Okay? What companies must do is to create a series of temporary competitive advantages, and they can leap and always find new competitive advantages. Okay? And so, companies are being pressed to decarbonize businesses. Since Kyoto Protocol, they are being pressed to decarbonize. And it is in this environment that we must figure it out if competitive strategies can impair or benefit from decarbonization. And this is what we are going to be discussing in this essay. So, data. We gather a panel data, unbalanced panel data from 2005 to 2019. Industrial, because they are highly polluters, okay? And we wanted to see the moderating role of decarbonization on both relationship, differentiation, financial performance, cost leadership, financial performance. And here what we did is that we employ two dependent variables that that can be short-term financial performance, that represent short-term financial performance, and one variable, Tobin's Q, represents the long-term financial performance. And this is important because we must know if this relationship moderated by decarbonization, can have impact on the short term and on the long term. Okay, Tobin's Q is a market-based variable, has to do with perception, okay, of the market about the company, and short terms, return on assets and return on equity. Okay. So results, we can see here very clearly that depreciation, when moderate the relationship between depreciation and financial performance, when moderated by decarbonization, it's not here, is not significant. This is here. It's not significant on the short term, okay? But it is significant and positive on the, and here on Tobin's Q, it is significant here, okay? So, regarding differentiation strategies, decarbonization has a positive impact, a positive and significant impact only on the long term, okay? Perhaps people are trying to figure out the benefits of a product, a cleaner product on the short term. What here is more important is that cost leadership strategies here, they're both, the impact of decarbonization on this relationship is positive both on the short term and on the long term, okay? And this is important because they can decarbonization process can benefit those strategies by enhancing cost savings more. They are already those companies when they have a cost leadership strategy, they are more efficient on their cost structure, and decarbonization is going to benefit more this efficiency on their cost structures. And here we have an analysis regarding Tobin's Q long term. And here we can observe the effect of no decarbonization. It is the red line, and the max decarbonization there is on the blue line. Okay, and both strategies, here, and here, the differentiation and cost leadership. As we are going to increase decarbonization efforts, we are going to have more cost savings, and we are going to achieve higher competitive advantage and financial performance. Okay, here we can also see that here cost leadership strategies, they can benefit also with the decarbonization process, but these companies they depart from a competitive disadvantage. So first, perhaps it's better to be aware that at first these strategies that embrace decarbonization are in competitive advantage at first. Those benefits are not going to be positive straight away. Okay? So, conclusions. For theory, we can see that decarbonization can be a new source of competitive advantage. Okay? And we can enhance the theory of generic strategies. And for practitioners is that carbon management has impact and can be also a source of competitive advantage if at least they are designing cost leadership strategies and at least in the differentiation strategies on the long term. Okay, they can benefit from carbon management on the long term. Essay 3, stakeholder strategy. So, does all stakeholder strategies have positive outcomes in every single environment, or are those strategies contingent to the institutional context? This is what this essay is all about. Okay, so normally it is common knowledge that those strategies, stakeholder strategies, to integrate the rights of all stakeholders on decision-making processes have benefit companies. Okay, they have better financial outcomes. This is the grounds of the stakeholder theory. Okay, but those companies have those benefits in all institutional contexts. Must businesses account for contingency differences? So, here we also gather a panel data set from 2005 to 2020, from Thomson Reuters, and this is a subsample analysis. From one point, we have liberal economies, and the other we have coordinated. And this distinction comes from varieties of capitalism theory, okay? And what are those differences? Liberal economies, you can find those markets on the United States, on UK, on Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. Those are liberal economies, okay? Coordinated economies are most of Europe, Germany as its example, Japan, okay? And what is the difference between those economies? Is how far the state intervenes in the economy, okay? Liberal economies, minimal intervention, okay? Minimal intervention, and the equity financing companies, they go most of all to private equity. They are going to be financing, to achieve financing on shareholders. They rely on shareholders, okay? The coordinated economies, they rely on banks for financing, okay? And they rely on the state to regulate the market. So these are very different market economies, okay? And both liberal and coordinated, by principle, should have one liberal focus on shareholders, because they are going to have a private equity for financing, okay? And the focus on coordinated economies, the focus are stakeholders, employees, customers, suppliers, okay? The focus is different because the financing they are going to get on banks, okay? They don't rely as much on shareholders, okay? And so we design our hypothesis regarding this distinction. Okay, so in liberal economies, since they rely on financial stakeholders, the relationship between financial stakeholders and financial performance is positive. Okay? Imagine the United States. Okay? And here, non-financial stakeholders, customers, suppliers, and those stakeholders, the relationship is going to be negative, is going to impair financial performance, okay? This is normally what we thought of. In coordinated market economies, the reverse, okay? Strategies oriented towards financial stakeholders are going to impair financial performance. Strategies oriented towards non-financial performance are going to benefit financial performance, okay? Strategies oriented towards non-financial stakeholders, okay? So, results. And this is what is the most interesting fact is that, you can see poorly, is that on liberal economies, on the short term, that is EBITDA, on the short term, shareholders, strategies oriented towards shareholders and stakeholders have a positive effect on EBITDA. Strategies oriented towards in liberal economies, on the short term, strategies oriented towards shareholders has a negative impact. And this is quite interesting, okay? Because in liberal economies, when they rely on private equity, these strategies oriented towards shareholders is negative. We can only speculate, since on these economies, those shareholders, those stakeholders, financial stakeholders, already have their rights defended to invest more on these strategies, impair performance. is wasted resources. Okay? We can only speculate. Regarding the stakeholders, on liberal economies, it has a positive and significant effect, okay, on EBITDA. And on enterprise value, the long-term financial performance, the strategies oriented to shareholders on both coordinated and liberal economies, they are not significant. Okay, the relationship is not significant, the influence, and it is significant on non-financial stakeholders. Okay, and this is very interesting results. Okay, for theory, our study extends the contingency effect of the institutional context on stakeholder strategy, financial performance. So we can move beyond the debate between profit and purpose, the long-standing debate between the profit and purpose. And for practitioners, they can recognize that their strategies are the success of their strategies are going to be contingent to the institution and context. Finally, conclusions. So, Essay 1 explores how firms harness their resources and dynamic capabilities to create customer benefits. How can firms orient their resources towards value co-creation? The second underscores the importance of climate change and how competitive advantage can be harnessed within this demand. And Essay 3 supports the stakeholder theory, but this theory does not apply uniformly towards all stakeholders. Okay? For practitioners, for businesses, both the three studies also have impact for practitioners. One is to comprehend how they must adjust to the customer demands by co-creating value. The second essay they can harness competitive advantage from carbon management. And the third essay, they can be aware how they can adjust their stakeholder strategy to the complexities of the environment, of the institutional context. Okay? Future lines of research. Well, the first involve the potential source of tension between the balance between the participants of value co-creation. We can study that, and to assess the willingness of parties involved in participation on this value co-creation. Sorry, this is okay. In Essay 2, this can be complemented by incorporating micro-level variables, okay, and they can and also future endeavors must focus on other strategies like corporate strategy. Okay, Essay 3 can be complemented by understanding and investigating micro foundations of stakeholder strategy, and study further contingencies and mediators. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alexandra. An excellent management of time. You are welcome. So now we open the time for comments, questions. People at home can also participate. People here in the classroom who may want to open the questions. Yeah, Lena, well, you are welcome.
Exactly, stakeholder theory. I love it. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative. And I just have a small common clarification question, because in your conclusion you said stakeholder theory does not hold for all stakeholders. And I wanted to ask you what you mean with it does not hold, because stakeholder theory, in my understanding, is not about always integrating stakeholders and always creating a competitive advantage out of the integration of stakeholders. So I was just curious what you mean by it does not hold.
It means that when we mention all stakeholders, we mention financial and non-financial, okay? And the stakeholder theory, it is transversal to both stakeholders, okay? Freeman says that if we invest more in this on all stakeholders, including shareholders, we are going to collect benefits, competitive advantage or financial performance, okay? From our study, we understood that in liberal economies, investing more on shareholders, on financial stakeholders, impairs financial performance, okay? Both on short-term EBITDA, has a negative relationship, and it's not significant on enterprise value. So for financial stakeholders, the theory does not hold on this, okay? Because this is transversal. Freeman does not specify if it is only the theory is only for customers and only for employees, okay? It is also regarding shareholders, okay? So the theory does not hold on those stakeholders, shareholders, okay? Investing on this, in liberal economies, investing in these stakeholders, it has a negative effect on EBITDA, okay? So it doesn't hold, okay? It impairs financial performance. And it's really not significant on enterprise value. The company is not going to be better evaluated if they're investing on shareholders. So does not hold.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's talk about that later. I'm very interested on your
really?
thoughts. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the questions. Anyone else? Lucas? If Lucas has no questions, it means it's very clear, the presentation.
Absolutely not. Questions?
Anyone at home?
Questions, doubts? I'm sorry, I was nervous. I don't understand anything. A word or something?
My turn then, my question. Well, thank you very much for the presentation, management of time, very clear. I like that you don't introduce how many of the statistics and the like, you clean the presentation of that. To me is perfect. My question, I like very much the second essay and the third, because they are empirical, of course. In the third case, why did you expect that the impact is different depending on the type of economies? But I think it's not very clear why. Can you expand?
Why? Because liberal and coordinated economies, the focus are different. Okay, the liberal economy, the focus is the liberal access on the market, the liberal access of the market. The state does not have has minimum intervention on the market. Okay, so companies are free, more or less, to invest in the stakeholders they wish, and they garner benefits. Okay, since companies are relying on private equity, normally it would be the companies would invest more on shareholders than on other stakeholders, okay, because they rely on private equity, not as much as in banks for financing, okay. The reverse you can find on coordinated economies. Think about United States and think about Germany, okay. United States representing liberal economies, and Germany representing coordinated economies. Here, the focus are not as much on shareholders, because they can find financing on banks or on subsidies for the state that allows subsidies, and the focus is more on the non-financial stakeholders rather than on equity funding, okay, shareholders. So here, that is why they're so different. That is why we reversed the hypothesis. And what we found is that in liberal economies, EBITDA is impaired by integrating the shareholders' rights, okay? And on coordinated economies, both financial stakeholders and non-financial stakeholders have a positive effect on EBITDA, so and on
slightly different.
Slightly different, yeah.
Why?
First, the negative effect on shareholders, we can speculate that these rights of shareholders are already in place by the demands of the state, okay? Though the shareholder rights are already in place in liberal economies. So investing more does not benefit because they already exist, okay? In coordinated economies, investing more both on financial stakeholders and on non-financial stakeholders continues to add benefit financial performance. Perhaps companies are finding ways to harness competitive advantage regarding investing in all stakeholders. And this is quite interesting because in coordinated economies, investing more in shareholders, has a positive effect. This is quite interesting. For me, it was very interesting.
Yeah, thank you very much, because it opens a lot of new questions maybe for the future, and I have noted, and perhaps we can speak about the future. So what about the future?
Future?
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. We want to publish the third essay, because it's not published. The other two are published. Mm-hmm. The third, we are going to be discussing how we can improve or we can send to journals. And then I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay, thank you. More questions, more comments? Yes, please, Diego.
Hello. Well, thank you for your presentation. So the thing that got me thinking is that in the third essay, when you separate liberal and planned coordinated economies, you are somehow dichotomizing a continuum. I mean, as far as I see it, and I think this can be arguable, some economies are more liberal than others, or some are more coordinated than others. Now, so therefore you need to choose a threshold and say, okay, so this side is liberal and this side is is coordinated.
It was by country.
Yeah, but I mean, some countries are going to be in the middle.
Most literature already separates these subsamples. It is already defended. Of course, there is degrees of liberal and degrees of coordinated, but we needed to separate.
I understand it. I was just asking, how did you do it, and if you have tried choosing another different threshold to see if the results change.
Like I said, other studies already separate those economies, well-published studies. So we use the methodology also. Okay.
So it was dummy variable.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
They don't have a continuous variable for that. But it's a good question for the future, maybe. More questions, please. No? So thank you for coming. Thank you for the presentation. And we are pretty sure that it will be fine next week, as today.
Thank you, Miguel.
Thanks for coming.